It's the wide world of woo. Thanks for checking us out. We are here today talking The Madman's Revenge by the Ninth Prince. My name's Tyler. We've got Andy with us. How's it going, Andy?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I got a broken foot, so limping around. I think I told you that.
Yeah, you did. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all right. I've graduated off my crutches though, so I'm into the boot, das
Oh,
Boot, which is a little better. So you
much.
said you broke yours, right? A while
Yeah,
ago.
well, a couple of years ago. Yeah.
How long did it take you?
It took me a little while to get back to normal. I broke like a tiny, tiny little bone in my ankle, which you
Oh.
wouldn't think would hurt so bad, but it
Uh.
really hurt.
I mean, I believe you after this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm on like week 5 or so. Got probably at least another 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah,
Dang,
man.
man.
Anyways, let's jump into some I don't know, would you call this horrorcore?
It's kind of I would say that it definitely has elements of horrorcore. The
Yeah.
overall theme definitely,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, if not horrorcore, at least horrorcore adjacent.
Yeah.
So we are again talking Ninth Prince, the Madman's Revenge EP. What's interesting is I think Andy and I know this as a 7-track EP, but it's been released a handful of times with a whole range of track listings, going up into the double digits. So it was originally released in 2018 and has gone through a variety of permutations, different labels, different like CDR releases, assignments of various tracks, released by Track Addicts LLC, Granddaddy Flow Entertainment, Blackstone of Mecca, Cocoa Reef Records. So with all that, as confusing as it is, we're going to keep it simple and talk the 7-track version that is available on the streaming outlets. So 7 tracks, and they, as far as I understand, were all produced by Ninth Prince. So Ninth Prince is, of course, Terrence Hamlin, RZA's brother, and member of longtime Wu affiliate group Kill Army. What's your familiarity with Ninth Prince or the group or anything related to this release?
Well, I'm aware of Ninth Prince and Killer Army, mostly just through listening to Wu-Tang, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
which makes the most sense. But I didn't really know much about him other than like those things. Like I'd heard him before, I'd heard Killer Army before. I didn't know a whole lot about him though. I didn't realize he was just his brother until I started researching all this
Yeah.
and everything. So that was pretty interesting to learn, especially after actually watching that show on Hulu,
Okay.
because there's a little kid in the show who's Riz's brother, and I didn't realize that that's Ninth Prince. So that's
Oh,
like cool. And also, I just really like this EP a lot. It is,
yeah.
I had never heard it before, so
Yep.
I got really into it.
Yeah, I hear you. It was a nice, pleasant surprise diving into this. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of other background information for it. There's just not a lot on the internet. There's no Genius entry or annotations really.
It was really hard to find stuff on this.
Yeah, so no chart data or easily identifiable singles, but we do have 3 videos made for the title track, Madman's Revenge, as well as the song Stop featuring Trife Diesel and Jojo Pellegrino, and the track He's a Madman. So all of those had videos. Interesting videos. You watched
Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
I really liked them. I, as like middle schooler, early high schooler, was super into like slasher movies.
Okay.
I used to just stay up late watching them all the time. So I really enjoyed this in a lot of ways. I guess it sort of took me back a little bit, and then also I just loved how like low budget they were and
Right.
kind of confusing they were.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I hear you. It's funny. The low budget has really evolved over the years. Like low
Yes.
budget in the 90s is like, really gritty, black and white, thinking the early Wu videos, and now low budget is like the quality has really improved, but there's still something genuinely low budget about these, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's like maybe like trying a little too hard to not look low budget.
Yeah, it was probably like filmed with like a Samsung or an iPhone.
Yeah.
Got a good camera, but you don't have like all the right things that you want to make it actually cool,
Right.
Although
Right.
that Jason mask in those videos was a really good Jason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, very detailed.
Yeah. So Madman's Revenge, it was like primarily Mike Myers, right?
Yeah,
And
it seemed
then
like,
okay.
yeah.
And then there was Jason at some point. Was that in He's a Madman?
Yeah, so I think the
Okay.
first video was primarily Michael Myers, and then He's a Madman was Jason, Freddy, and Mike Myers, and they were like
Yeah.
battling in the woods.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's the one that had like the mad scientist.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. That's they went to a lot of effort on that video. Like it's like a legit production.
Yeah.
I hope it gets more views. It didn't look like it had a ton of uptake on YouTube, like in the 400s, and definitely maybe it was more than that. But it definitely deserves more. Um, yeah. And it kind of tied in with the artwork, which also had, I think, Freddy, Jason, and Mike Myers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I actually, after watching the video, I had looked at the cover a few times, but I was like, whoa, this one has Freddy, Jason, and Mike Myers. And then I looked at the cover and I was like, oh yeah, they're all on the cover.
Right.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of that cover?
I really like it. I think it's campy, comic booky, horror
Yep.
theme. I mean, it's kind of as corny as it is, it's all the stuff that I like or liked at one point in time. So it
Yeah.
really actually jived with me pretty well. So
Yeah. 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 I agree. I think I usually like illustrated album art. I mean, there's some certainly like 36 Chambers is iconic as photography, and there have been a number of really good photographed Wu-Tang cover albums, but I'm kind of a sucker for the liquid swords and the and this style of kind of comic book inspired art as cover art. So I agree.
yeah.
The last video, Stop, was kind of Wild West themed. What'd you think of that one?
Once again, pretty funny.
Yeah, right. I liked how it was just like the one girl as like the I don't know, object of affection for like all three of the guys, and like she definitely had a starring role in that video. Um, but yeah, pretty low budget but fun.
Yeah.
Anything else on the single or videos or art or background or anything else?
Oh, he's a Madman video. Sorry, just going
Yeah.
back to that. That video, I'm, I mean, I'm a pretty big Cypress Hill fan, but I really reminded me of the Dr. Green Thumb video in a lot of ways.
Oh, I've never seen it. What's the connection?
Just mostly like the mad scientist-esque uh thing, and then kind of the way it was shot and everything, even kind of
Okay.
sort of feels like that video a little bit. It's kind of like got this like campy, like B-rate horror feel to it as well as that one, you know.
Okay. Okay. I think it might have inspired it.
It could have possibly very
Yeah.
well inspired that video.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
It is a great video. I love that beat too. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, it's nice little EP. Doesn't have any core Wu-Tang members, but does include a handful of affiliates. Trife Diesel or Trife to God, who's a member of Ghostface Killer's Theodore unit. Solomon Childs, who used to be in Theodore unit, as far as I understand. Prodigal Son, who's in Sons of Man with Killer Priest, Hellraiser, and 60-Second Assassin. So some nice collabs, as well as Cool Keith, which was, you
yeah,
ever gotten into Cool Keith?
I actually really love Cool Keith.
Okay.
I got into him originally through God, what's that album's name? I can't think of it now that I'm actually talking about it. The one he did with Dan the Automator,
Okay.
and I think it's not Kid Koala. I think that's the one with Dell. But either way, I got into him through that, and then I kind of learned more about him. Yeah, no, he's dope. He's super underground, New York hip hop, and I mean, I thought it was cool that he was on there because it made a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Right on.
anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
I could go
yeah.
on about cool Keith.
Yeah, so um I remember, I'm pretty sure he was on Warp Tour in like 2001, which is
I mean,
kind of funny to me. But so what's his shtick? Does he like go by different names and have different?
yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought.
he has like I don't even know how many like alter egos, but he has like the most alter egos in hip hop out of anybody.
Okay,
So-
okay.
and it's Dr. Octagon is the album I was trying to think of.
Oh, yes, and that's the one that I remember was they were talking about in the Warp Tour flyer that I had. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Uh, all right. Let's see. I don't think there's too much else. One thing I thought was kind of funny, although not particularly, it's kind of a reach to associate this, but the Madman's Return is, am I saying that right? Hold on. I don't want to. Yeah, so this album is called The Madman's Revenge. Who has that album, The Madman's Return? Why, it is Eurodance slash hip hop group Snap, who did Rhythm as a Dancer and I've Got the Power. You remember, you know those songs?
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings
Yeah.
me back to like being a little kid.
Right. Yeah, me too. So
Yeah.
so Snap has the album The Madman's Return, and the cover art for it is, oh, I guess it's more like European dragon. I thought it was kind of like Japanese dragon sword. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting mishmash. But anyways, so the Madman's Return was taken by Snap in 1992. But onto the Madman's Revenge. So let's talk beats, bars, and top tracks. Let's see. Beats. Uh, how about you go first on beats?
It's hard to say. Honestly, I really like this EP. Like it as far as bars and beats go, it really kind of reminds me of like there was a era in like New York hip hop in the late 90s, early 2000s with like Jedi Mind Tricks and like all these different Def Jux and like a lot of different stuff coming out in that time. I've probably talked about that before. I love that era. But this EP really represents that era to me. It really sounds like that time.
Okay.
And like even from the first track, that beat on Madman's Revenge is so good. That sample is so good. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I have a hard time. I think my favorite one on here is probably The Novelist.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Um,
other than that, yeah.
yeah. So uh, let me just touch on that because I don't want to echo everything that you're saying, which I'm probably going to anyways. But yeah, I was going to say The Novelist is my favorite too. That track featuring Solomon Childs. Um, does that have you've heard Jizza's Pro Tools album, right?
Yeah, not in a long time, but yeah.
Okay. There's a track on there called Path of Destruction that has a little bit of like part of it sounds like the same, like it might have been used in The Novelist. I'm trying to think what instrument that is. Anyways, it it's like very similar, and I was trying to compare the two, like go back and forth between them, but they're in such different parts of the song, and there's so
Oh,
many different ways of manipulating a beat, but it if it's not the same sample, it does sound similar to it, which is one of my favorite samples on that Pro Tools album, Path of Destruction. I think that's the one. It's either that or Firehouse, but I think it's Path of Destruction. But yeah, just an absolutely sick beat.
now I
Um,
gotta listen to that album.
yeah, yeah. It's not streaming anymore.
It isn't? Holy
It's
crap.
however, for the purposes of our discussion, the instrumental version of it is still streaming, so you could listen to that, but you will hear no Jizza on the album, the Pro Tools album that's streaming now,
Dang.
unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. It actually, the when we taped the Liquid Swords episode with Shahab, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
after we were done, I listened to Pro Tools streaming, and then like the next day it was gone. I was like,
That's
what? What?
weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I agree with you on the start of this EP with the like doo-wop sample or like
Yeah.
I'm a money madman. I love that. I could not figure out what it sampled though. Did you happen to try looking into that?
I did, and I couldn't really figure it out. It was so hard to find any facts on the CP, honestly. I
Yeah.
I found a lot of facts on Ninth Prince, but I could not find a lot of facts on actual EP itself. Other
Okay.
than that, there was 200 copies pressed,
Yeah.
and that was it. And now it's just streaming basically.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Um, so yeah, just like you said, I like all these beats. I think Ninth Prince did a really good job. Uh, I think the only thing I really didn't love was, or I didn't feel like I needed like a minute or 45 seconds of that chanting like mad, mad, mad,
Yeah.
mad. I was like, I was just thinking it was like a teacher asking the class, like, okay, we get to watch something. What do you want to watch? And the whole class is like, mad, 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 mad. Which I've never seen. I don't really get the appeal to Mad Men. Have you seen it?
Oh man, I actually the only time I ever watched that show, I used to be a pretty heavy smoker. And
Okay.
so that whole show, like they're just chain smoking cigarettes, and I couldn't actually sit and watch the show because every time I'd sit down, I'd be like, now I want a cigarette.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah, so I never finished it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I heard like a lot of good things. Actually, I think Shahab was big into that show. And I mean, obviously, many people. But did you get why people liked it?
Yeah, I mean, stylistically, like as far as like the cinematography and stuff goes in that show, it's really, really cool.
Yeah,
I can see why people like it, and also like the way it tells the story of that era and that time. It does it really well. It's actually really hard to watch because of some of the like misogyny and
oh sure,
so those sorts of things that happened in that time.
right.
And yeah, so that was also kind of hard to watch, but but it
Yeah.
was really well done. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I can imagine the people that were acting in that show probably were like having a hard time even doing some of that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm sure I'll get to it at some point because yeah, everyone's pretty been everyone's pretty crazy about it. So
Yeah, just don't
um,
start smoking.
right. Yeah. And yeah, along with that, I didn't personally need the inspected deck sample. Like it's fine. I just don't think it added to it. Like it's a good enough beat that it didn't need that at the end. But
Yeah,
what else? I mean, Contract Killer had a nice, rich texture. The Novelist is my favorite. A Verbal Attack, that Cool Keith collab. I really like that smooth female vocal sample. I couldn't figure out if she was saying this feels like sunrise or it feels like something nice or I don't know. I couldn't dissect it. Could you figure it out or do you know what she was talking about?
no, and I noticed exactly the same thing. I was having a
Yeah.
hard time like deciphering what
Yeah.
she was saying. But
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes in samples they do that where they like they'll make it kind of like Dilla did that a lot where he'll kind of make it almost sound like it's saying something than what it's actually saying, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um that Jay-Z song On to the Next One was a sample of that Justice song, DANCE. And it Jay-Z or whoever produced that Jay-Z track made it sound like they were saying on to the next, but the actual sample, like I don't even it wasn't even similar. I don't know how they did that, but yeah. So interesting. What else on beats? Stop the collab with Jojo Pellegrino and Trife Diesel. I like that one. That's kind of like a little bit of a horror vibe, but then had that horn melody. It was pretty nice. And then the last track, War on Everyone. Um, that one had kind of like a almost like heavy metal guitar that like came in part way through. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
the those two tracks were actually pretty cool. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes now.
Yeah.
Uh the stop one I really like because the beat is kind of like disjointed. It kind of
Yeah.
has that horror like you were saying, and then like just the really hardcore bars. Like,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. No, I dug that. And then there was a couple War on Everyone, and there was another one that on there. Oh, the Novelist also. Uh, they're
Mhm.
both to me just like super, super hard, like hip hop. Just like when you think of like what hip hop sounds like, those two songs to me, like when I listen to them, I'm like this sounds like if I was like showing somebody who'd never listened to hip hop before hip hop, I would show them those songs, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what'd you give the bars for a score 1 to 10?
1 to 10. I'm trying to think of what my favorite like songs as far as bars were on here. I think, oh
Oh,
man, it's
oh,
hard to
sorry. Did
say.
I say bars? I meant
You
beats.
said bars. Beat.
All right, my bad. What's your beat score?
Uh, I like Contract Kill a lot. Um, I think that was a cool beat.
Yep.
Kind of had like a dreamy sort of feel to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
yeah, and then I'm trying to. Oh, Verbal Attack, of course. That beat was pretty cool. I would say that would be like 1 and 2. Verbal Attack would be like one of my second favorite beats on there. Um, and then I do really like the beat for Stop a lot. I thought that was really cool. It was different. It was definitely not like the coolest beat on the record, but I kind of liked it for that reason.
Yeah,
You know?
I like the way you phrased it, kind of disjointed. Like it had that kind of weird, like kind of creepy horror kind of beat. And then but then like the saxophone was like I think major key, or I don't know, at least it sounded like a little warmer or more inviting, like layered on top of it.
Yeah, definitely. I've personally tried like really hard to actually mix like that, and it's actually really, really hard.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I would say overall on this whole thing, honestly, I would give these beats a 10. I think the beats on here really, really solid. They're kind of what drew me in the first place.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment of them being like the standout of the EP, more so than the bars. I was just gonna give it a 9, and not because I think any of them are bad, but just because like it's an EP, so there's a little less uh
Yeah,
like a little more margin for error, or I don't know exactly how to articulate that, but with an EP you have fewer songs, so it's easier to do fewer songs well, and I think Ninth Prince did do them well. um they weren't all like absolute bangers, but they're all pretty good. I like them all, so I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 for beats. Cool, so let's go to bars. Yeah, like I said, I think the bars are pretty good. Not as good as the beats, but it's not bad lyrically. I hadn't heard a ton of Ninth Prince. He kind of reminded me a little bit out the gate of like Capadonna meets RZA, maybe, in terms of like the flow and the. I can almost hear RZA's accent a tiny bit. That might be
yeah,
subliminal, but some of his rhymes, like uh, I think that stop song, draw paint on my face like commando, step on toes, death blows, gently kicks and flying elbows in your direction, exotic weapons, just like that kind of a flow. um
yeah, where he's just like kind of describing like saying things and
right.
describing.
Right. Yeah, it's like a little bit free associative, but not entirely. Like Capadonna's like a little more left field sometimes, and these verses like were a little more coherent, like sticking to the themes a little bit more.
For sure.
um I think yeah, I mean it's just solid. I liked Jojo Pellegrino on Stop, with something like Dirty Dancer, like Patrick Swayze, the White Jay-Z, Black Slim Shady. That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Were you
Sorry.
familiar with him at all?
No, not at all. I do
Okay.
love his name a lot though.
Yeah, I'm thinking he must be Italian. So anyways, that was good. Um yeah, let's see. Bars, I'm going to say um I'm gonna say uh, I'm gonna give it an 8 for bars.
I think I actually 100% agree with that. And
Okay.
also I have to I do there is a lot of really good bars on here, and like I think this is a great way to like once again show somebody like if I was going to show somebody like good hip hop, I would actually play this EP for them, and I'd be like this
Yeah.
is really solid. Like the bars on here aren't like there's some really really good bars on here, but they're not like super crazy. They're just really solid,
Yep.
I would say. So yeah, an 8 is good.
Okay.
And I'd have to agree with you. Actually, that was a really good way to describe that. Is that he sounds like RZA, a combination of RZA and Capadonna. And he kind of looks a lot like Jizza, which is really crazy. I mean, I know that's his
Yeah.
cousin, but like either.
Right. Right. Yeah. I liked how he gave a shout out to Riza and Jizza, the cousin, on
Yep.
this. All right. So let's go to top tracks. So my top track, I had a hard time with this because I did like The Novelist quite a bit. That's really high up there. It's kind of between The Novelist and Stop. And
Okay.
I have a hard time picking, but I think I'm gonna go with Stop just because um, all I like all three of the verses. You know, it's the closest thing to a posse cut on this EP. I like all the verses. I like the layering of the production that you brought up. The horn stabs actually kind of remind me of the. Are you familiar with Haim,
Mm-mm.
that girl band HAIM?
No, I'll have to check
Oh,
that out.
okay. The horn stabs remind me of the saxophone in this their song "Summer Girl," which is a sample in itself. I'm pretty sure. So, anyways, it's somebody's gonna make fun of me for saying I like this song because it reminds me of "Summer Girl," but um, it's I like the verses in Stop. I like the beat a lot. So I'm gonna go with Stop as my top track. What about you?
Well, I kind of have a hard time too. I was thinking about this earlier, and The Novelist is probably, I think, one of my favorite tracks on here for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely my favorite beat, but
yeah.
I'd have to go with Verbal Attack, and I'm just gonna only
Oh,
because when I was listening to it, I didn't realize that Cool Keith was on it.
okay.
Like I didn't read that yet. I was just listening to it, and then I heard his voice, and I was like, "Is that fucking Cool Keith? Like that sounds exactly like him." And then I realized it was, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I started freaking out. So I think that's my favorite track.
Right on. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a nice fun surprise.
it was.
Because you know he's kind of a legend, and so just to pop up on this little EP, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And he's very picky about the things that he does. So there
Okay.
must be some sort of appeal there to him.
Yeah, right on. Cool. So overall scores, thinking about this in terms of cohesiveness, guests, production, story, all of that together. Um, I like it. I think it's got good cohesiveness, kind of that what did I say? Horror adjacent theme with the artwork, and the beats are kind of horror inspired. The bars are the videos. Um, I like the guests. The fact that he's got some Woo affiliate guests. It's I don't know. It's just nice to see them kind of working together. It's no real like big names, but some cool contributions. So overall score, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because yeah, I mean it's only 7 tracks, but it's a super solid release, and I was very happy to discover it. So 8.5 for me. What about you for overall score?
I was actually gonna say 8.5. I agree with you. I think overall it's really solid. I mean, it didn't blow my mind, but it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves an 8.5.
Yeah, right on. Cool. Well, Madman's Revenge by Ninth Prince. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. That's it for Wide World of Woo on Madman's Revenge. We'll be back in short order. And thanks for checking us out. Join us on Instagram, Wide World of Woo, Patreon, Wide World of Woo. If you have anything to add, feel free to reach out. As we mentioned, we weren't able to find too much on this album, but would certainly love to learn more. All right. Anything else from you, Andy?
No.
Right on. Well, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.